It was just another ordinary day at the grocery store, until one woman decided to play judge, jury, and executioner. What she didn't know: the cameras were watching, and her lies were about to backfire in the most humiliating way possible. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Marcus Johnson grabbed a box of cereal from the shelf. After a long shift at work, all he wanted was some milk and a quiet evening at home. He barely noticed the woman in designer sunglasses glaring at him from across the aisle, but she had already noticed him, and in her mind, he didn't belong there. The sharp click of high heels echoed as Corinne Whitmore adjusted her expensive purse, lips curling into a smirk. She'd done this before, made a scene, played the victim, and walked away untouched. Today's target, Marcus, her excuse: he's following me. Never mind that he was just shopping. A sudden, aggressive bump sent Marcus stumbling back. "Watch where you're going," Corinne snapped, even though she was the one who'd slammed into him. Marcus froze, hands raised. "Ma'am, I didn't even." "Manager, now," she shrieked, already pulling out her phone to record. The other shoppers turned, murmuring. This wasn't just a complaint, it was a trap. And Marcus, he had no idea his life was about to go viral. Little did Corinne know, the security cameras had caught everything. And when the truth came out, it wouldn't just ruin her day, it would ruin her life. Marcus took a slow breath, keeping his voice steady. "Ma'am, I was just grabbing cereal. I didn't even see you there." But Corinne wasn't listening. Her finger jabbed the air as she backed him toward the snack aisle, her designer bag swinging wildly. "Don't play innocent with me," she spat. "I saw you watching me since I walked in." A nervous titter ran through the growing crowd. An elderly woman clutched her cart tighter while a teenage cashier stopped scanning groceries, eyes wide. Then came the magic words, delivered in that shrill, practiced tone. "I want to speak to the manager right now." The demand cut through the store like a fire alarm. Over by the registers, Raj Patel's shoulders slumped. Not again. Raj arrived at a half-jog, his tie slightly crooked from where he'd been unloading stock. "What seems to be the problem here?" "This man is harassing me," Corinne announced loud enough for the entire frozen food section to hear. She thrust her phone in Marcus's face, the camera light blinding. "I'm recording this for my safety." Marcus blinked against the glare. "I was just—" "He followed me from produce," Corinne talked over him, turning to Raj. "I want him removed immediately or I'm calling corporate." Raj's eyes darted between them. He knew Corinne's type, the kind who filed complaints over expired coupons and rude cashiers. But corporate always sided with the screaming customer. Then a new voice cut in deep calm. "We should check the cameras before making accusations." Officer Reynolds materialized from near the exit, his security badge glinting. Corinne's smirk faltered for the first time. "Fine," she snapped. "Check your stupid cameras, they'll prove I'm telling the truth." But as the crowd murmured and phone cameras kept recording, Marcus noticed something odd. Corinne's hands were shaking. Just slightly. Like someone who wasn't nearly as confident as she sounded. The fluorescent lights hummed louder in the sudden silence as Raj hesitated. His fingers twitched toward the walkie-talkie on his belt. One call to corporate could cost him his job. But Officer Reynolds stood firm, arms crossed over his broad chest. "Camera room, now." Corinne straightened her blazer with a huff. "This is ridiculous, I'm the victim here." But her voice cracked on the last word. She shot Marcus a glare sharp enough to draw blood as they were led toward the back of the store. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, some filming, others whispering behind their hands. Marcus kept his steps measured, his breathing steady. He'd been here before, not in this store but in this moment. The weight of eyes on him, the unspoken assumption that he must have done something to provoke this. His phone burned in his pocket. One text to his brother, a lawyer, and this could escalate in a whole new direction. But he waited. The security room was cramped, monitors flickering with black and white footage of every aisle. Reynolds tapped a keyboard, pulling up the timestamp. Corinne hovered near the door, her earlier bravado thinning by the second. "Just hurry up," she muttered, checking her reflection in a darkened screen. Then there they were, grainy but unmistakable, Corinne strutting past the bakery section. Marcus 3 aisles over comparing cereal prices. No interaction, no glances, nothing. "Fast forward to 2:37, Reynolds said quietly. The footage jumped. Corinne rounding the corner and steering deliberately into Marcus's path. The collision played out in painful clarity, his startled step back, her immediate finger pointing. But the real dagger came next, the moment Corinne thought no one could hear. Her lips moved on screen, and the room froze. The grainy footage showed Karen's lips moving again, silent on the recording, but the shape of the words was unmistakable. A racial slur, sharp, deliberate. A choked gasp came from behind them. Raj's hand flew to his mouth. Officer Reynolds' jaw tightened. Even the hum of the security monitors seemed to grow louder in the heavy silence. Karen's face drained of color. That's not what I said. Her voice pitched higher, frantic. The audio's not even on, you can't prove. We have lip-reading software, Reynolds cut in, stone-faced. Corporate policy since last year. The room tilted. Karen's manicured nails dug into her palms. Outside the door, the crowd had swelled, shoppers, cashiers, even the stock boys, all straining to hear. A teenage girl held her phone up, recording the entire scene. Then Marcus did something no one expected. He laughed. Not a cruel laugh, not even an angry one, just tired. "Ma'am," he said, shaking his head, "you really picked the wrong store to lie in." The footage kept playing. There was Karen shrieking for the manager. There was Marcus, hands raised in peace. And there, clear as day, was the security camera angle from above the registers, capturing everything. A notification pinged on Raj's phone. He glanced down, then paled. Guys," he held up the screen. A local news alert blared. Viral video sparks outrage, racist confrontation at grocery store. Karen's phone began buzzing nonstop. Unknown numbers, Twitter mentions, a call from her husband's office. Her breath came in short, panicked bursts as the reality hit. This wasn't just about a store ban anymore. Her life as she knew it was over. And the cameras, they were still rolling. Karen's designer heels clicked frantically against the linoleum as she pushed through the crowd, her once perfect hair now falling in disheveled strands. "This is illegal," she screeched, but no one moved to stop her, not even Raj. The store's automatic doors slid open with a cheerful ding, ushering her out into the parking lot where a group of teens had already gathered, phones raised like weapons. Inside, the air buzzed with a strange mix of tension and relief. Marcus leaned against a checkout counter, suddenly exhausted. A middle-aged woman with kind eyes, Mrs. Henderson, the bakery manager, pressed a bottle of water into his hands. "On the house," she murmured. "Always knew that woman was trouble." Raj rubbed his temples, already drafting an apology email in his head. Corporate would have his head for this PR nightmare, but for once he didn't care. "Marcus, It's not on you," Marcus interrupted. He'd seen the script before too. The hollow apologies, the gift cards offered as band-aids. What he hadn't seen, the way Officer Reynolds was now on the phone with HQ, demanding Karen be added to the regional no trespass list, or the teenage cashier quietly canceling Karen's store membership in the system. Then came the twist no one predicted. A sleek black car screeched to a halt outside. Out stepped a man in an expensive suit, Karen's husband, his face stormy. Instead of confronting the crowd, he marched straight to Marcus. "Mr. Johnson," he said, voice tight with shame, "my firm would like to offer you pro bono legal representation against her." The store erupted in gasps. Even Reynolds whistled low. But Marcus just smiled. "Tell your lawyer I'll think about it." As the sun set outside, painting the parking lot in oranges and pinks, one final notification lit up Marcus' phone. The video had hit 1 million views, and in the comments, hundreds of stories just like his. The video kept spreading like wildfire. Local news, Twitter threads, even a reaction clip from a famous YouTuber. But Marcus didn't watch any of it. He sat on his couch that evening, the grocery bag still on the counter, unopened. His phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, family, even his old college roommate offering to buy him a beer after that BS. He muted it all. Because here's the thing about justice. It doesn't always feel like victory. Karen lost her job, her husband, her precious social media presence, but that didn't undo the sting of her words. It didn't erase the way strangers still clutched their purses when he walked by, or how store clerks sometimes followed him just to help. Then his little niece's face popped up on FaceTime. "Uncle Marcus, you're famous." She held up a crayon drawing of him standing tall, a superhero cape scribbled in red and gold. That was the moment it hit him. Not the viral fame, not Karen's downfall, but the quiet truth that every kid watching that video now knew: bullies can lose, the truth can win. So when the narrator's voiceover came on, "And that's why you never judge a book by its cover," Marcus finally smiled. He grabbed the cereal from the bag, poured poured himself a bowl and turned off his phone. Some stories don't need an ending. They just need to be told.